So one FBI agent says to me, I just want to make sure that you know something before we go. We are not here to investigate you or anybody that you know. SubhanAllah, I felt like 5,000 bags of rocks just lifted off my back. There was nothing else that they can tell me after that that was going to give me any concern or worry. That's all. That was the only worry that I had as a Muslim American. And so then I said to the FBI agent, I said, so why are you here? They said, well, we want you to know that the FBI has raided the van and home of a man who lives in Broward County, who was sending pipe bombs to the homes of notable Americans who he saw in opposition to Donald Trump. And when we raided his home, we want you to know that we found 3 addresses for you. This is one of them, which is my home address. The second address was my mother's address, and the third address was the former office that I used to work at of the Arab American Association here. But what I want to say about this is that the psychological warfare that happens to Muslim Americans is that I was actually so relieved to know that I was not on an investigation list. So imagine that. I was just told I was on an assassination list, but not on an investigation list. And that really made me feel good. SubhanAllah, it didn't even bother me when they said that. It only registered later when I thought to myself, wow, what if Caesar Saya actually did send me a pipe bomb? Because he was arrested. And if the cops didn't find him, he may have been able to still send to all the people who he still had as targets. I'm not Obama. I'm not Vice President Biden, which were some of the other people, Hillary Clinton. He was sending these pipe bombs to people who have Secret Service who intercepts their mail. Who intercepts my mail, sisters and brothers? I'm just like you. I go outside and get my mail. My kids sometimes have to pick up the mail. Something really bad could happen to one of us. But one of the things about that story, sisters and brothers, is when the FBI originally came to my home, even though I knew I was 150% innocent, never engaged in any criminal activity. But in this day and age, many people get accused of a lot of things that they didn't do. And I knew in that moment that if anything were to happen to me, that I could call the Muslim Legal Fund of America. Because you know I'm an activist. I'm not a millionaire. I don't even have good health insurance. I don't have a pension. I don't have 401k plans. I don't even know what I'm going to do when I'm like 65 years old. I worry about that actually. So I would not be able to fund my own legal defense if something were to happen to me. And to know that Muslim Legal Fund of America is here gives me a lot of courage in the work that I do. And I'm going to end by sharing a little bit more about the story of Noor Salman, who is the young Palestinian woman who was the wife of Omar Mateen, because this is an important story, and it happened here in Florida. Noor Salman is Palestinian, and she was married to a guy from Afghanistan. And there are people in this room who know Noor Salman's family, because she's actually from the same village that I'm from. There are many mass shootings that happen in this country. Unfortunately, every 2 or 3 days we hear about another mass shooting happening. A lot of the mass shootings, not all, but many of the mass shootings are done by white supremacists. But did you ever notice that we never hear about the wife of the white supremacist? We don't know if they're married or they're single. We don't hear about their mother. We don't know if they have kids. We know nothing about their families. The focus is always on the perpetrator of the violence. SubhanAllah, when Omar Mateen committed this horrific act, killing almost 49 innocent people, and then he also died when the cops came to that scene of the crime. He also was shot. So he was dead. Guess what happened after that? They went after Noor Salman. Noor Salman was a young woman with a low IQ and a mother of a 4-year-old son. They arrested Noor. They took Noor's son from her. And then you know what they did to Noor? She spent 13 months in solitary confinement. Do people understand what solitary confinement means? It means you sit in a very small cell for 23 hours a day. A young Muslim sister, a daughter from our community, spent 13 months, a year and a month, innocent, in solitary confinement. You know what else happened? We called Muslim attorneys all over the country. Ya Jama'ah, please defend this young woman. She's innocent. She's innocent. Haram. She deserves to be defended. She deserves to have her day in court. She deserves due process. And all the Muslim lawyers was like, Sister Linda, we're not going to touch this case. We said, Ya Jama'ah, we will raise the money. What do you need? They said, Sister Linda, it's not about the money. This is going to be a multi-million-dollar case. And you know what? What else I will tell you? You will lose that case at the end because nobody beats the U.S. government on terrorism charges. It never happened. So why do you think it's going to happen with Noor Salman? Many people did believe in her innocence in our community, but nobody wanted to defend her because nobody wanted to go up against the U.S. government. Until finally the Muslim Legal Fund of America stood up and said, we will defend Noor Salman. And Charlie Swift and the Muslim Legal Fund of America, of course, with the resources of the Muslim American community, defended Noor. And what I want you to picture, because this is all public information, you can watch this online. I want you to think about this on a deeper level. Imagine in that courtroom when the jury, this was a jury case, trial case. I want you to imagine after the jury came back out to the courtroom and the person who represents the jury, you know, they always pick one person to represent the entire jury, stood up and said, we find Noor Salman not guilty, not guilty, not guilty in every charge that the government tried to put on her. And then Noor Salman, a young sister, a daughter in our community, got up from the courtroom and she walked out a free woman. And can you imagine, my dear sisters and brothers, the dua of her mother, for every single donor, for every single person that helped to free her daughter from solitary confinement. And we say this in our community all the time. We say, dua al-madloom mustajab. And the people that you are helping, the people that Muslim Legal Fund of America are helping, these are people who are madloomin. Because Brother Khalid always says this, but he didn't say this today, and I'm going to say it here today. Muslim Legal Fund of America does not defend terrorists. They defend innocent people who have been accused of crimes they did not commit. They look at the evidence, they look at the facts, they have the interviews, they talk to the people, and when they go into that courtroom, they defend you with everything that they have because they believe in your innocence. And Noor Salman, sisters and brothers, was an innocent young woman. She could have been our daughter, she could have been your daughter, and we want to make sure that Allah protects all of us in this room from the type of injustice that Noor Salman and her family were under. And so I'll end by saying to all of you, sisters and brothers, that we as a community have to understand the political context that we live in this country. And that in this country, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could still be on the no-fly list. The no-fly list is not just poor Muslims. You could be a taxi cab driver. This country, right now, in this current political, you saw what happened in the United Kingdom yesterday. Another Western democracy. They just elected another Trump, who says Islam is the problem. We don't want more Muslims in the UK. And that's what we have here in the United States of America. 4 more years of Trump, we got a bad situation. So here's what I'm going to tell my Florida Muslim sisters and brothers before I get off this podium. I came to Florida in 2016. I wasn't in this part of Florida, but I did come to Florida, and I went to a few places. And a lot of the Muslims said, Sister Linda, we like Bernie Sanders. But when Bernie Sanders did not win the primary, the Muslims in Florida, like the Muslims in Michigan, you're not the only ones. Just I want to make clear, I'm not blaming Florida Muslims. But a lot of the Muslim Floridians said, we're not voting for Hillary Clinton. We're just not going to do it. We're just going to stay home. We're not going to vote for Trump, but we're just not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And here's the aftermath of what happened. So what I hope that we do, sisters and brothers, if you are not a registered voter, if you are an American citizen, I am imploring you to register to vote. And I am imploring you in 2020 to go and vote. I want you to vote not just for yourself, but I want you to vote for Rohingya Muslims and for the Kashmiris, and I want you to vote for the people of Yemen and for the people of Palestine. I want you to vote for broken and marginalized people in this country without health care, for your immigrant neighbors, for the undocumented people. Sisters and brothers, I'm asking you to do a Muslim solidarity vote, a vote that says, when someone is hurting around us, we are all hurting. And there's a lot of people who are hurting in this country. So please, sisters and brothers, I hope that you all participate in this next election. I'm very blessed to be in this space. I ask Allah to protect you all, to protect your children, to protect our masajid, to protect our religious institutions in this moment. So, Muslim Legal Fund of America and this masjid, as you know, cannot endorse political candidates. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that. Muslim Legal Fund of America is a non-profit organization, so is their law center. This masjid is not allowed to endorse candidates. It seems like there are people in this room who may be running for office. You should have those conversations. There's a lot of good Muslims who have ran for office all across the country. About a month ago, I don't know if you all know, 36 Muslims won political office across this country. Many of them Muslim women. So I hope that you're supporting those in our community who stand for righteousness, stand for justice, and who are running for office. Now, Muslim Legal Fund of America does not endorse candidates. Neither does this masjid, to be very clear. But there is a candidate in this primary that you should all be considering as a candidate for our community. And I believe that Florida has to understand that you are a very important state. You are probably the most important state that we have in this election. And I have done the research on Florida. You have over 100,000 registered Muslim voters. And I want you to know that someone like Donald Trump did not win this state by much. And imagine if just the Muslims got up and said, we will not allow this Islamophobe to go back to the White House. You will be sending a powerful message across the world, not just to Muslims, but to everybody. And also to our young Muslim children who are horrified by this president. So I will talk to you individually, but you know the candidate that I'm talking about, who's the best choice for us in the 2020 primaries. And inshallah, if he wins the nomination, he will be the next president of the United States of America. We could then be assured that he will stand with us in our times of need. So assalamu alaikum, and inshallah, Brother Khalid will take the microphone.
Okay, so that concludes our speeches. Before we break for dinner, if anybody has maybe one or two questions, we'd be happy to answer. Does anybody want to ask a question or just close with a dua? Yes, sister. What did Linda what? Okay.
So a lot of people think I'm a lawyer, or they think that I studied political science. I studied English literature and a minor in secondary education. I was an aspiring high school English teacher. When 9/11 happened, I was a college student. Sisters and brothers, I could have been a very simple high school English teacher, working from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, summers off, holidays off. But I got up and I committed every year since then, since 2001, to the Muslim American community. So my studies don't match my current career. But alhamdulillah, I've been trained, I'm accredited to do board immigration representation. I've been doing a lot of studying civil rights and civil liberties only because we needed that as a community. So for young people that are in this room, and I see a lot of young sisters, many of them have told me they've been studying political science, and I want to encourage parents about something. We have 3 fields in our community that our parents want us to be. They want us to be doctors, lawyers, or engineers. MashaAllah, we have plenty of lawyers. MashaAllah, more than enough doctors. Engineers, plenty. What I need? Social workers. I need people in journalism. I need media producers. I need political scientists. I need young people to run for office. There is plenty of other things that our young people could be doing to help us build our community, and I want you to encourage your children to find a field that's going to help us progress as a community.
Thank you. We'll take 1 or 2 more questions. Anybody? So, in closing, yes, sir.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's off, the subject a little bit, but I see that there are some activists who are not even Muslim, and they are defending the cause of Palestine. I give an example of someone who Sister Sarsour was with is Roger Waters. He's a former singer of a very famous band,
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd. And I saw that, I don't know what you call it, a lecture or conference or whatever, but I'm so impressed by those people. What do they have in doing those kind of things? They are not even Muslim, and they are defending the cause of the Muslims. Thank you.
I appreciate that question. That's a very important question. Oftentimes when we think about the Palestinian cause, the most staunch defenders of the rights of Palestinians oftentimes are not Palestinians, they are other people. Because a lot of people see the cause of Palestine similar to the cause to end South African apartheid a couple of decades ago. People in America, all kinds of people stood up and said, we as the United States government should not be complicit in the apartheid against black Africans in South Africa. And now, the same people, a new generation, is saying, we as the US government should not be complicit in the human rights abuses against the Palestinian people with our taxpayer dollars. And I think people make that connection in a way that is very powerful, which is why I often get attacked for this issue. Because we are now raising the consciousness of a whole new generation of people. So there are many black leaders. Right now there's a letter that I hope you all see of black pastors in America who are standing up and saying that our Jesus would not be pleased with us if we continue to be silent in the face of the oppression of the Palestinian people. So I hope that you continue to build these relationships, and I hope that the Muslim community becomes as much as staunch defenders of the Palestinian people as our non-Muslim sisters and brothers who are standing up, including many Jewish Americans who are with us around this issue. But one thing that you reminded me of as you said this, a lot of Muslims will say to me, Sister Linda, what do we do for the Rohingyas? What do we do for the Kashmiris? Look what's happening in Sudan. Look what's happening in Yemen. Look at Palestine. Look at Syria. There's so much injustice. Look what's happening to Uyghur Muslims in China. That's happening on our watches as the Muslim people. We should be calling on the US government to sanction China until they stop the human rights abuses on the Uyghur Muslims. When it comes to Syria, when it comes to Palestine. So the reason why I'm asking you to be politically engaged is because a lot of our power lays in the political sphere. When we are organized politically, when our money is organized, when our votes are organized, we can then go to elected members of Congress and say, what are you going to do about the people of Kashmir? What are we going to do about the Chinese government and their rights, human rights abuses against the people of the Uyghur Muslims there? So my issue with the Muslim community is that we are talented, we are well educated, mashallah, Allah has blessed us with a lot of resources. That doesn't mean every Muslim is rich, but as a community, we are a well-resourced community. Lots of young, educated people in our community. Why are our people suffering all over the world and why are we silent? And so I'm asking you, my dear sisters and brothers, in a place like Florida, organize, organize, organize. Every Friday there should be a volunteer with a table outside, making sure that every American Muslim that walks into this masjid is registered to vote. And when the time comes for elections, that we get up and vote. Let me tell you why. When what happened in Syria happened, when what happened in Yemen happened, when we saw what happened in Tahrir Square, imagine this. Muslims all over the Muslim world are standing up against militaries, against snipers, for the right to free elections, to be able to choose who their leaders are. And they're willing to die for that right. And we are in America and we have the right. You can walk into a polling booth in 5 minutes, vote and leave, nobody's going to talk to you. But for some reason we have not honored our brothers and sisters who have sacrificed their lives for free elections when we have the right here and we're not even taking that right here. So if you want to support me in my work, I don't want anything from the Muslim community. I just want you to support the organizations on the front lines, and I want you to participate in the democratic process. You know why? Because you have every right to participate. And that is why we are in America and we deserve to be part of the conversation and the process here.
One more question.
Go ahead.
So this question is for Sister Linda. Are you planning to run for any political office at any level?
Yes or no?
I hope the answer is yes.
So the short answer to that question is no. And the long answer is because I have realized over the last 20 years that you can actually be very influential from the outside. And so my job is to support progressive candidates, to support Muslim candidates, to ensure that we have as many people as possible in office. And I see that's my role now. So what I want you to think about in places like Florida is who are the people in Florida who are educated, who have the eloquence, who understand the issues, who can represent our communities. I'm telling you, last 4 Tuesdays ago, 36 Muslim Americans ran for office and they won. In fact, in Redmond, Washington, I met a young woman at an event for the Muslim Legal Fund of America named Barisha Khan. She's the first Muslim American woman to win office in the state of Washington. And she won a race there at the age of 25 years old. Pakistani Muslim, 25 years old. And she won by 66 votes. So when somebody tells you your vote doesn't count, your vote doesn't matter, they are lying to you. And so I hope that you take that with you, and take Sister Barisha Khan with you, and Brother Issam Amesh's daughter, another big leader in our community, his daughter won a race. We have state legislators who won races. So this is not just low-level office. We're talking anywhere from school board all the way to the state legislators. And as you know, we have 2 Muslim American women in Congress, and inshallah in 2020, maybe we have 2 or 3 more. But we need the support of the Muslim community to ensure that the right people get into office.
Thank you, Sister Linda. With that'll be the last question. We'll be here. We're going to go ahead and dismiss for dinner so everybody can enjoy the food and the festivities. In closing, though, I'll make a dua before I do. I want to see the show of hands of people who have not donated, if you have not already given, who will support 1 hour of legal work. I don't want you leaving tonight without making a pledge of $250. And if you can't fulfill it in one time, then do it in whatever small amounts that you can. But raise your hand to donate 1 hour of legal justice if you have not already donated tonight. We have 1. Anybody else? 2, 3, 4 in the back. It'll be number 5. Number 5. Number 6. It'll be number 7. Number 7. It'll be number 8. 8, 9, 10. 3 more people, and we'll close. 3 more hours. 1 hour of legal justice. Number 8. Alhamdulillah. It'll be 9. 2 more. Huh? Sisters are doing it. 2 more. Anybody else? 2 more hours. All right. We'll close with that. May Allah bless all of you, protect you, give you the best in this life and the hereafter. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Thank you all. If you made a pledge tonight, please put it in the box. We appreciate your patience. We appreciate you being here tonight. And inshallah, together we can and we'll make a difference. Assalamu alaikum.